Hey guys, we have some shifts in our vibes going on today. The sun is moving out of the sign of Aries, moving into the sign of Taurus. Generally, this is taking us out of that more fiery Mars energy and into a more practical, grounded Venusian energy that we're going to be working with over the next 30 days while the sun transits Taurus. Also, though, the sun moving into Taurus means that the sun is going to begin activating Uranus and the North Node and also Mercury, all in the sign of Taurus right now. We could be primed right now in this energy over the next 30 days or so for some rather wild information or maybe some big shocks and surprises that are actually quite destined coming our way. And we have a Sagittarius Moon today going to be making a square to Jupiter and Neptune in conjunction in Pisces. So we got some astro business to talk about. Let's jump into the report and get down to what we have going on in the chart today. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 20th, 2022. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. And today, we get to talk about the sun changing signs. This is always, whenever the sun changes signs, generally a pretty significant energetic shift. We're coming out of, like I said, this Aries energy is much more independent and fiery. We're really, when the sun is in Aries, a lot of times we're really ready to like strike out in a new direction and go seize the day and just start something new, go our own way, much more independent, much more inspired, much more fiery, also a bit more combative and risk-taking energy as well. Now that the sun is moving into Taurus, this is definitely a more grounded energy. It's a very hard-working energy too, but it also likes to indulge and relax to some extent. That's sort of like the weird duplicity that goes on with the Taurus vibes. Like, this is a very hard-working energy that is really trying to like lay foundations and build things and grow things that can produce some type of stability and comfort and abundance in our physical world, but simultaneously also wanting to just like sort of kick back and indulge in some things, maybe some good food, like that type of stuff is all like across the Taurus vibes. And so over this next 30 days, socializing, relationships, partnerships, work relationships, financial issues, again, like the projects and things that we're working on that we want to build and grow, resources, all that type of stuff is where our focus is primarily likely to be. More just focused on the things that we're working on and what we want to grow in order to stabilize or provide some type of financial, like I said, abundance or material stability or prosperity and pleasure, comfort in one way or another. So this is the energy that we're working with when we're in now approaching Taurus season. We have the sun in Taurus now. We also have Mercury in Taurus. And again, as I said in my intro, the sun moving into the sign of Taurus now is also sort of lighting up Uranus and the North Node that we have going on in the sign of Taurus right now. Now, these two planets are at actually about 10-degree orb separation from each other right now. Uranus is at 14 degrees of Taurus. The North Node is at 23 degrees of Taurus. But this year, another significant feature of this entire astrological year will be a Uranus North Node conjunction that happens in the sign of Taurus. Now, Uranus, this is the great awakening planet. I also like to refer to Uranus as the great rectifier. Like, Uranus really, when we can't make the positive changes that we need to make in our life to put us on a track that is like more conducive to our soul's growth and what we need to like grow into and experience and whatnot, all of that good stuff, Uranus a lot of times has a tendency of coming in and sort of throwing everything in our world upside down, up in the air, upside down, so that it can actually land in a better direction and sort of like get us back on track in alignment with the way that our soul is truly like yearning to grow and expand and develop. So Uranus is a great rectifier. Uranus brings blessings in disguises a lot of times. It's like a silver lining planet. A lot of times also when we're talking about Uranus, we don't see the benefit in what the energy is bringing to us while it's happening. It's usually not until like far in the future when we're looking back and we realize like, oh, that was actually the exact scenario that opened me up to go down this path or put me on this path in order for all of these beautiful, wonderful things I'm experiencing now to have come into place. Like, without that thing happening, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable or scary it may have been at the time, if that hadn't happened, like, I wouldn't be here living this much better experience now. Sort of silver lining energy when we're dealing with Uranus. And Uranus is also the planet that is ruling the age of Aquarius, and Uranus is playing a major role right now energetically whenever aspects to Uranus are hitting that are really trying to vibrationally, energetically help us go through that rectification process, that awakening process, in order to come back into that better alignment that can move us forward into this age of Aquarius in the way that universe needs us to in order to make this shift of ages truly happen. And so Uranus is quite significant right now, you know, always, but especially now, just because of where we are at in sort of this blueprint that's unfolding and the age of Aquarius that is incoming and Uranus's role in that. Now, the North Node, this is our destiny. This is the path ahead. This is like the next phase of growth. This is the cosmic blueprint as it's unfolding and where it's pulling us to next so that our soul can gain this development, gain this growth. It also is representing like our highest potential, our highest calling, what our soul truly came here to learn ultimately. And when we're talking about this in terms of just the collective chart, this is in terms obviously of the collective of humanity. So when we have Uranus and when we have the North Node coming together, this could very much represent a period of some very shocking or surprising upheavals, blessings in disguise that are actually very much putting us on course with the way that the path needs to unfold going forward. It's like the galactic fixer coming in to realign things in alignment with what is necessary to truly make this transition into the age of Aquarius, the shift of ages, happen effectively, efficiently, and productively. So, and in the sign of Taurus now, Taurus rules, again, like resources, supply chains, finances, economies, food, and also what brings us that sense of stability and comfort, and also these partnership and relationship dynamics and like material abundance and material pleasures and stuff like that. And when we're talking about a North Node in Taurus, this is the next phase of our growth, the next phase of our like lesson plan, the direction that we're moving now, having very much so to do with tapping the resources that we hold inside of us in order to learn how to become much more resourceful, much more self-sustaining, much more self-reliable as we are moving through this energy. So with Uranus in Taurus, this could be telling us that there could be some disruptions along those Taurus themes coming in order to really shake things up in a way that is much more conducive to humanity's ability to transition into this new energy properly, actually. And with the North Node being there too, the lesson here for us is to become much more self-reliant and really see the value that we hold inside of us and begin to tap our own resources and cultivate our own resources so that we individually can create some of that stability, some of that comfort in our lives, despite any like of those upheavals or shocking or surprising things that may be happening on the more macro grand scale level, so that, you know, perhaps we're not as individually impacted by them as we go through, you know, this process. The matrix is also sort of crumbling and breaking down around us right now. We're going through a transition of ages. The paradigm of the past in terms of just the way that things were set up and the ruling classes, like the long established elite ruling classes of power and stuff like that. There's a transition of power going on right now. I guess that's the best way that I could put it. And because of that, a lot of the old power structures of the past, and you could, you know, use a metaphor and describe that as the old matrix, is beginning to sort of crumble. And as that happens, it may really create some disruptions going forward in the lifestyles essentially that we are used to living. But the way that universe is presenting and that we are able to remedy this idea or this experience is through learning to tap into ourselves, as I just mentioned, and these resources, and try to become a bit more resourceful and self-reliant and sufficient in and of ourselves to sort of offset some of this. You know, it's not asking us to like be, you know, totally like self-reliant in every single way or anything like that, but just in the small ways that we can, it can provide a bit of comfort in what may be a more turbulent period over this next few months. But, you know, the reason why I'm really talking about all of this and bringing it up right now, there's me going off on this like really long tangent about the North Node and Uranus and Taurus, is because the sun entering Taurus today is going to begin triggering this energy. And even though these planets are not in an exact conjunction yet, it is still going to be highlighting the themes represented by these planets in this sign, you know, sort of all month long. And then as we get through the month, we'll have, of course, the conjunction to Uranus and the conjunction to North Node as well. And right now, we also have Mercury in the sign of Taurus as well. So we have the sun today, Mercury, the messenger planet, ruling our mind and our thoughts, communications, news, information, all of that, ideas, and Uranus, the great rectifier, and the North Node, like the destiny, the collective destiny, where we're headed at this point in time. So now that we have the sun in this sign, activating these 3 planets, I do feel that we should be ready for some pretty crazy information while Mercury especially is still transiting Taurus that moves things or begins to move things in a radically new direction. Like, this is some of that mind-blowing information coming in that really like changes the course of things in our personal lives, and also, you know, because it's happening on such like a grand scale, also the collective trajectory of things. Like, this is some major enlightening information or messaging, I guess we could put it that way. And again, there may be a big emphasis on like things to do with like financial issues and economies and resources, supply chains, food, all of that type of stuff, things related to projects as well, like I said, safety, comfort, housing, real estate, and stuff like that as well, and also partnerships and relationships all wrapped up in this. But at the end of the day, this is Uranus that's being activated, and Uranus sets things right. Like, that's what Uranus does. And so whatever is going on over this next month or so while the sun is transiting the sign where we have this North Node Uranus, it's not a conjunction yet, but it is moving into conjunction where these 2 planets right now. I do think that we may see some real crazy, especially like I said, while Mercury is there, this may be a period of time where there is just some very bizarre information going on that is awakening us. Remember, Uranus also is the awakening planet. This is like, so we have Jupiter and Neptune in a conjunction giving us the spiritual like awakening, and now we have Mercury and Mercury and Uranus and the North Node and the sun. This is like that conscious total like understanding of things that really just like changes our viewpoint on reality and starts to head us in that radically new direction, which is what we need right now as we are going through the shift of the ages and the old paradigm is beginning to fall, and we really need to understand what happened so that we can move forward into this age of information, this age of self-knowledge, self-empowerment, self-mastery, and co-creation with God in universe with an enlightened perspective and understanding, so that we are not falling or making the same mistakes that we have in the past. Is the awakening, the clarity that we are needing. And it's interesting too, because the degree of the sun today at 1 degree of Taurus, having just moved into the sign of Taurus, that Sabian symbol is a clear mountain stream. And this is it's a clear stream. You know, we're talking about clarity. We're also talking about it being a mountain stream. This is an elevated perspective, like a very lofty, elevated, clear, and refreshing as well perspective about what we may be uncovering or seeing or being exposed to or gaining sort of a surprising awareness to over this next 30 days or so while the sun is transiting the sign of Taurus. And, you know, it's not that it's just going to end there, because then, of course, we're going to have this conjunction. And I think it happens in July. Don't quote me on that. I really haven't looked that far ahead yet to see when this exact conjunction of Uranus and the North Node is, but I think that I saw that it was in the end of July, but I'm not sure. But we'll definitely be talking about it as it approaches. But just get ready for some, you know, perhaps interesting information over this next 30 days or so. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the moon for a minute. The moon is in Sagittarius today. And that means that the moon will be forming a square to the grand conjunction of planets that we have going on right now in the end of Pisces, Neptune and Jupiter. They are not an exact conjunction anymore, but they're in a 1 degree orb. They're still very close in a conjunction. And the moon in Sagittarius, of course, is ruled by Jupiter. So we have the moon in Jupiter's sign making a square to Jupiter in a conjunction to Neptune today. And because of the degree placement, the moon will also be conjuncting the galactic center today, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And that is really like the point in the sky that represents like the galactic wisdom that emanates from like all that there is, like all of creation, like the real like God source code point from where all wisdom and creation sort of emanates, the galactic center being active. And when the galactic center is being activated, this also brings sort of an infusion of this divine galactic God source energy, galactic wisdom being like infused in within us on like an intuitive and soul level when we have the moon there, but also forming the square to Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. This could be bringing some upsetting truths today. We are dealing with a square aspect. Squares bring conflict, squares bring tension, internal frustration, but it's always for the purpose of like some type of change, some type of breakthrough, some type of evolution into a better state of something. We're talking about the moon in Sagittarius. This is belief systems and truth also on an emotional level, coming into a square with Jupiter also ruling truth and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. There could definitely be some conflicts or some fights going on today about belief systems or truths that we're finding out, or clarity, elevated clarity and perspectives that we're coming to about a situation. Also representing, though, breaking free with this square going on, like really coming head to head and breaking free from perhaps any like illusions or delusions that we may have been operating under. Any false narratives and projections are also crumbling in this energy, especially with the moon now, or the sun moving into the sign of Taurus and activating Mercury, Uranus, and the North Node. The moon in Sag in the square to Jupiter and Neptune today. This is definitely breaking down false narratives, projections, and illusions that have been sort of cloaking our ability to see from that higher, more elevated perspective. Truth is sort of busting through with this today, and it's not like an easy, nice, like trying aspect bust through. It's sort of like a more tense and conflicting and frustrating and just like causing some like tension, perhaps breakthrough, but still it's happening. And this is still sort of more that truth setting us free energy, especially with the moon also going to be hitting the galactic center today. And we're talking about Christ consciousness energy in the square. This is definitely also could represent some type of like really profound spiritual awakening that is pushing us to make some type of like breakthrough or go in a new direction or change our focus on something, or just causing some type of general like strife or conflict, perhaps in our relationships or partnerships as well, with the emphasis on the Taurus sign right now. There could, like with the Taurus being emphasized, all this energy, and also the Sagittarius, Jupiter, galactic center, Neptune, Christ consciousness, spiritual truth, beliefs, energy. There could be some like realizations or awakenings that we're coming to right now about things that have us sort of questioning the stability of our partnerships or our relationships, or like the material security, stable structures and stuff that we've built for ourselves at this point in time. And with us heading into this very changeable period right now in terms of that second house Taurus stuff, there could be some shifting and rearranging going on over this next 30 days in terms of partnerships, work relationships, and also romantic relationships that are no longer in alignment based on these like awakenings, these spiritual conscious awakenings, and the information, what we're learning, what we're discovering, what we're finding out right now. So we have that going on as well. And really the last thing that I want to talk about today, because that's pretty much what we got. We got the sun moving into Taurus, which of course is it's a very significant energetic shift, but also bringing up, Mercury, Uranus, and the North Node in Taurus, and the moon in Sag forming that square. That's basically what we got going on for our aspects today. But I want to talk about the Sabian symbols for a minute too, because there's several Sabians in effect today that I feel like are sort of emphasizing what we have going on the chart. And first of all, like I said, the degree of the sun itself today, 1 Taurus, a clear mountain stream. This is that clear and elevated perspective, the clarity coming in from a much higher perspective that can sort of see the bigger picture of things. And it's also talking about Sagittarius, moon in Sagittarius, which also talks about the bigger picture, forming the square to Jupiter, which is also talking about the bigger picture. Lots of information. And then the sun also moving into Taurus, where Mercury is with Uranus. Like lots of information today coming through in the chart and the symbols, indicating this like awakening perhaps, or just gaining of clarity in some way or another. And it's kind of refreshing as well. This clear mountain stream seems very like sort of purifying and like refreshing after what may have been an arduous journey to the top of the mountain. So that's what we have going on in the position of the sun today. The earth we have at 1 degree of Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is a sightseeing bus filled with tourists. So this is kind of making me think, what's going on earth, the position of things on the ground today. Maybe in the context of the rest of this energy, we're sort of seeing and noticing things that perhaps we haven't seen or noticed before. Really noticing and observing what is going on around us and sort of paying very good attention to our surroundings and what we're seeing, what we're witnessing, sort of passing us by. And this sort of ties into this, like breaking through the illusion, looking at things through sort of a different lens, gaining this sense of clarity, waking up to something in one way or another that is actually trying to move us in a new direction, much more in alignment with the truth of the value and the resources that we hold within us, so that we can tap into that potential and do what universe is calling us to do with the North Node in Taurus right now in order to prepare for just a more successful outcome in transitioning this next couple of months for ourselves. We also have Mercury today at 19 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is a new continent, is rising out of the ocean. And again, is rising out of the ocean, a new continent, like a whole new mindset and perspective on things may be coming now that we have the sun moving into Taurus, activating these planets, while simultaneously today we have the moon at the galactic center forming the square to Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, of course, being in the sign, the moon being in the sign of Sagittarius, ruling truth and the greater perspective, a new continent rising out of the ocean, where Mercury, the planet ruling the mind, the mindsets, the mental attitudes, the perspective, the information coming in, the viewpoints. Things might be shifting, you guys. Things might be starting to change a little bit in the way that we are viewing the external situations going on around us and how we are interacting with them as we move forward. We have Venus today. This is a very important position because we are talking about the sun moving into the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus. Venus is going to be a significant planet, and what she's doing over this next 30 days, as whenever we're looking at astrology, whenever a planet goes into the sign that is ruled by another planet, what that other planet is doing is important in the way that the planets in that planet's sign are expressing their energy. And so Venus today happens to be at 17 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is an Easter promenade. And even the position of Venus today is talking about a celebration of rebirth and ascension. And these things are just all fitting together so nicely. So while we have this Taurus, while we're heading towards this Taurus cycle, beginning to express this Taurus energy right now, of course, we won't truly be in Taurus season until we have our new moon in Taurus that will be coming up here in the next, week and a half or so maybe. But as we are moving into this Taurus Venus energy, with Mercury and Uranus and the North Node, again, like these things that could be happening that perhaps are really throwing things up in the air for us and really trying to give us a fresh opportunity to move in a much more fulfilling, ultimately, direction in alignment with what is truly authentic to us, a celebration of rebirth. Like this is the same concept, the same idea. So whatever is transpiring, whatever is happening over this next 30 days with this Uranus energy being activated, it's trying to resurrect us in one way or another to help us come back into the truth of our own power in alignment with God's spirit and universe and move in this new direction that helps us to really harness that and make something of it, as universe really wants us to activate our potential and come into our destinies, activate our destiny, come into our highest potential collectively at this point in time as we are bridging from paradigm to paradigm and creating the age of Aquarius through our own individual energetic shifts. And last but not least, the position of Jupiter and Neptune, of course, are relevant today because they will be squaring the moon. Jupiter is currently at 26 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a new moon, reveals it's time for people to go ahead with their various projects. This is talking about seed planting and manifestation, the new moon phase. So this is also letting us know that this period of time when Jupiter is at this degree, whatever we are facing right now is really for the purpose, again, of being able to start a new cycle of growth that is in alignment with the truth of our authentic potential, like what our seed really has in it, the flower that we were always meant to grow into, being supported to actually grow and bloom in this energy right now. And then Neptune as well, 25 degrees of Pisces right now. This Sabian symbol is the purging of the priesthood. We also have the South Node in Scorpio, very much representing the same thing. We also have Pluto in Capricorn right now, very much representing the same thing. This is talking about a need to release old dogmatic mindsets of the past that had put us in places of surrendering our power because of a lack of recognition of the truth and the value that we really hold inside of us, and to really cut ourselves free from any like past karmic loops or self-sabotaging cycles going on vibrationally or subconsciously within us that, again, have been keeping us out of the truth of our value, and therefore keeping us out of our ability to come into our own power and activate that destiny and rise into our highest potential based on the recognition of that authentic truth, that authentic value, and the potential that we hold within us. That universe with the North Node in Taurus is asking us to tap right now to help make navigating the next trajectory of our journey a little bit easier. So we have that as well. And the last symbol that I want to read is actually the position of the North Node. I can't forget the North Node in Taurus right now with all this energy. I'm talking about it a whole bunch. The Sabian symbol of the North Node right now at 23 degrees of Taurus is a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. And again, this is destiny. This is the next lesson. This is the path ahead. And right now in this specific energy with the North Node at this specific degree, this to me is talking about all of this, you guys, all of this boiling down to the simple concept of whatever is happening to bring us back to the recognition of the truth of the value that we hold inside and what that means in terms of our ability to actually truly create, manifest, and attract abundance and the beautiful things externally as well. As within, so without. Universe right now is taking us all on like this collective hero's journey back to the truth of our own authentic potential, the value that represents as we sever the ties with these past mindsets, these past beliefs, this past subconscious programming that has been keeping us from seeing the truth. This square as well, the square between the moon and Sagittarius and Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces, while Venus is in Pisces too, right? Ruling the Taurus energy where the North Node is right now, has been keeping us from seeing the truth of our value. We need to purge the priesthood of our past so that we can recognize this jewelry store filled with valuable gems and what that actually translates into in terms of our ability to experience a fulfilling, like a truly soul fulfilling life and reality externally as well. So that's what we got today, you guys. It should be quite an interesting next 30 days or so as we're transiting this energy, even though we don't have Uranus and Neptune, or Uranus in the North Node in a tight conjunction yet. They are both, not too far away in this Taurus energy. Mercury's there as well. And now the sun, definitely some faded realignments, faded awakenings going on in this period of time that we have coming up right now. And the sun is kind of setting it on fire for us. Let's talk about the tarot for a few minutes, you guys. This message is actually very simple and to the point that came out today, but it is right in alignment with, I feel like, the themes that we are going to be encountering and dealing with over this next 30 days. Now, we only had 2 cards come out of the deck this morning, and then we have the back of the deck as well. The first, and I feel like before I just start explaining the cards, I feel like this is sort of just some guidance for us in how to get the best outcome navigating this next 30 days as it is correlating to the lesson plan represented by the position of the North Node right now. But anyways, the first card that came out of the deck was the 5 of Pentacles. And this card is talking about having a feeling of lack. This is talking about maintaining an allegiance to that priesthood that is supposed to be being purged right now. This is talking about not recognizing the value that we have within us and surrendering our power and feeling cast out and feeling in a victim sort of mindset because we aren't understanding the value and the resources that we hold within us and our ability to sort of change things around for ourselves. This is the lack mindset, okay? which is exactly what we are learning to move away from in this sort of karmic detox energy that we have unfolding with the North and the South nodes in Taurus and Scorpio right now. The next card that came out of the deck was the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And then on the back of the deck, we had the Emperor in reverse. And really what this is saying, these might not look like, you know, the nicest like cards right now, but really just what this is saying is that as we go throughout this next month, I feel like the message is that if we remain in a state, if we resist the lessons, okay, if we remain in a state of internal like victimhood where we are not transmuting that energy into like healing and growth and self-mastery and transcendence and coming back to this place where we recognize like the truth of the value and the worth that we hold inside of us, then we are going to be blocking the new opportunities that are coming to us out of, you know, a obvious sense of lack of empowerment. If we flip these around, what this message would say is that by recognizing the truth of the value within us, coming into our state of mastery and no longer allowing ourselves to be rejected or feel like unworthy in any way, we are attracting to ourselves a fresh start and unlimited possibilities for like beauty and material like abundance. Look at all those flowers and all that greenery, growth from a very, very empowered place, where we're actually able to put like a lot of very focused and diligent work into the things that we have going on. And this is a very grounded energy that can really sustain and makes us sort of like the ruler of our own reality, you know, co-creating sort of with God and universe. This message to me is just sort of reminding us that like as a rule of thumb, as we are navigating this energy over this next Taurus cycle that is coming up, and now that we have the sun in Taurus, and look, this is like to me representing quite a bit of Taurus energy too. Even though the Emperor, I believe, is usually associated with Aries, these two pentacles, this, you know, would be, these are earth coins, like this would be definite Taurus energy. And I feel like it's just referring to the fact that, you know, we really get to choose, like, if we are not going to do the work and sort of like accept the lessons that universe is bringing us right now and go through whatever we need to go through in order to come back into that place of inner realization about our own, again, worth, value, and the sense of personal power that gives us, that is really what is helping us to crack through and attract these unlimited fresh starts and new possibilities, lost opportunities, and potential just for massive amounts of growth in a very new direction that is very self-motivated and self-empowered and self-initiated in this energy. So very just like simple reminder that I've just really talked an awfully lot about actually. But yeah, we just need to keep in mind that the lessons right now are to recognize the truth of the value that we hold inside of us, because that is really what is going to empower us to be able to attract and grow these new opportunities coming in. But you guys, we are really already know this because we talk about this. I feel like we talk about these themes a lot all the time, but that was what wanted to come through today, so that's what we talked about again. So now let's grab a synchronicity card and see what message God has for us today to go along with the stars and the tarot cards. Let's see, you know, what else we need to know. Here's a jumper. Oh, beautiful. It says, count on God. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Psalms 1:3. You will prosper, you will grow and expand. The law of attraction is now working for you, and you attract all those who will help you in reaching your goals, spiritually and materially. Absolutely. Hallelujah. That is all that we need to know, really. So there you go. And in a period of growth and building right now, as we are entering the Taurus cycle, and we have today the moon in Sagittarius in a square to Neptune and Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. This is talking about spiritually and materially today. All that we need to do is stay out of that mindset of lack and purge that priesthood of the past that may have been enslaving us to situations or karmic loops that were keeping us out of our power and our value and our worth and our authentic potential that is represented by that. So that's what I have for my report today, you guys. I hope you liked it. I hope I was able to provide something for you that can, I don't know, just give you a little something to get through your day a little easier or a little better maybe, or at least some entertainment value or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would be interested. Leave me comments, you guys. I absolutely love your comments. You're so amazing. Like, I truly, honestly, and sincerely appreciate each and every single one of you. And thank you so much for being here. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, TikTok and Instagram, and a website. Those are in my description box below if you're interested in any of that. And come back with me tomorrow, you guys. We will have more astrology to talk about, and I will be here doing it, and you don't want to miss it. So I will see you then. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and remember, count on God. God has your back. See you tomorrow, guys.